Thor director Taika Waititi seems to have kind of lost it because in recent months he's had like a lot of disparaging comments to say about his previous work with the Marvel series. And now he's coming out and saying that he really wasn't a fan of the Thor character to begin with and that he only took on the role as director of the movies just for the paycheck. And that's pretty much it. This article from Deadline kind of has a little bit from this interview with him. And this is what he had to say. I had no interest in doing one of these films, Waititi said. It wasn't on my plan for a career as an auteur, but I was poor and I just had a second child. And I thought, you know what? This could be a great opportunity to feed these children. On the surface, these comments aren't so bad because people take jobs for money all the time. I mean, directors have to do that constantly. So this isn't really that huge of an issue. But when you have someone making a movie based off of a beloved character, you really don't want them to make comments like this in regards to that character. I never read Thor comics as a kid. That was the comic I'd pick up and be like, ugh. And then I did some research on it and I read one Thor comic or 18 pages or however long they are. I was still baffled by this character. The question I have for this though is why is he making these comments now and not in the past? And I think it has to do with the fact that he describes himself as an auteur and not just a director, which, I mean, that's a little pretentious in my opinion, but okay. I mean, there's a lot of directors I admire who say the same thing. And I think what happened with Thor movies is that it was kind of like that paycheck that he would take in between the time that he could actually make the movies that he really wanted to make. If you look at his IMDb page, you can see the list of stuff that he did prior to Thor Ragnarok. Then after that, the passion project that he had was Jojo Rabbit, which was pretty well received amongst critics and audiences. And I think that was also partially riding the high of him being attached to it, because I remember the marketing at the time was like, yeah, I mean, he's attached to it. So this seemed like it was a good movie. The MCU was at its height. So yeah, that's probably something that people want to check out. But following Thor Love and Thunder, he really doesn't have that great of a name to himself at this point. And you can look at his career since then. I mean, you got Thor Love and Thunder right here. And he's done some projects since then. So I'm not saying like his career's dead by all means. I mean, he still has a pretty good career ahead of him. But his next passion project that he had was a movie, Next Goal Win, which just came out. And so far, that really hasn't had the same reaction and the same acclaim that Jojo Rabbit did. I mean, you can look at the Rotten Tomatoes for that. I mean, 41% for audiences. I mean, it's decent amongst critics. And you can even look at the numbers on this. I mean, I think the movie's made around $5 million on a $10 million budget, and it's been out for like a week. So I'm not saying the movie's going to flop or anything like that. But someone who describes himself as an auteur is someone who wants to be praised, probably not only by audiences, but also by critics. And so far, critics have just kind of panned his movie that he actually cared about. I mean, you can even look at Metacritic just for clarity's sake, too. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's still not good on Metacritic. It's actually even worse amongst audiences on that. But okay, this is only 8 reviews, so you can take that with a huge pinch of salt on this one. I mean, I think the final score is probably closer to Rotten Tomatoes, where it has over 100 at least users on this that rated it. But still, I mean, I think this is something that kind of stings for him because this is a guy who's like, okay, I'll take these big studio projects in order to actually collect a paycheck. So in between these studio gigs, I can make the movies that I really want to make. And then it seems to find out the movies that he really wants to make are ones that don't resonate with him. And as a director, he probably doesn't want to be pigeonholed into making those same type of movies for the studios all the time. So he's trying to distance himself, I think, in a way from the Thor movies in order to kind of go back to how things were before he was actually a director for them, but maybe with the added notoriety he gained from working with the MCU. And it looks like he's also going to be kind of retreating back to the well for the studios in order to actually finance his next movies, because, you know, it's like he kind of wants to have his cake and eat it too. And he's already slated to do an upcoming Star Wars movie. Now, he said in the past that he's really procrastinated on writing the script, which indicates that it's probably not going to be very good and it's a project that he really doesn't care about. For him, I'm sure it's just another paycheck for him. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But me personally, if I'm going to go pay good money to watch a movie in theaters, I want to watch a movie created by someone who actually cares about what they're doing instead of just looking at it as a paycheck before they can move on to greener pastures.